We have another great show for you today. This time it is very music driven, and we love when that's the case. Joining us today from the Marshall Tucker Band is Doug Grae. Joining us from Queensryche is Michael Wilton. Joining us from, well, he's his own thing, Jason Delismon. And then we have guest from the world of movies, Grae Drake, who she reviews movies and is going to give us advice on who's going to win the Academy Awards. And from the world of wine and entertainment, Dee Dee Sorvino. So we are excited about our guest today. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy it. So joining us today from the Marshall Tucker Band is Doug Grae. We're going to be discussing his upcoming performance at the Hard Rock Casino in Cincinnati, Ohio on March 31st. Doug, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and good morning.
So when did you fall in love with music?
My goodness, actually, I was 7 years old, and I was a child, and my mother and father were, because he was he had been a military guy, and they would go to a place called the and Veterans Club, okay? And they had good food. It was like a restaurant to go out to eat. So, I don't know if it's similar today to that particular kind of style of going out, but they had a band there, and the band, I got to hang out because, they were serving food and everything. But it was Mom and Daddy's waiting to go out after working the week. And I walked up to the band guy and was just kind of talking to him. Told him that I knew the Laughter Wipeouts. Okay. And the Laughter Wipeout is hilarious in itself that they would start a record like that. And so sure enough, I did the Laughter Wipeout, and the guy handed me $5 afterwards. And I said, well, this looks like a business I need to be in.
Yeah, that's a heck of a first payday.
$5 back then would go a lot further than it will now. But at the same time, there's kids out there that I'm helping, and that they're going down the road, and and they're wanting careers in our music business. They want careers, period. Kids nowadays are earlier wanting careers. I'm finding that out a lot in the last 2 years. I'm equally impressed. I watch, honestly, The Voice. I watch that, and I know Blake, and it's kind of like, it's amazing some of those kids get up there. Not only do they hit notes, they have the personality to be able to withstand time. And that's what I really look for. And a lot of them who have done other songs, I have my publicity get in touch with theirs or the Voices people, and I'll call up and get their numbers. We'll make the arrangement, and I'll call them and wish them good luck. And, that never happens very much. Everybody's so far out for themselves. And I realized that since I started at an early age, it was I got applause, I got recognition, I got understanding, and I had a peace and loving family. Okay. But it grew with the fact of being a musician and being from a town, Spartanburg, which was a cotton mill town. Okay. So everybody kind of knew each other, but then it quickly grew from 63,000 to like 400,000. Okay. Because, BMW and everybody else come in there and started making those coupes and all those other vehicles that they're making now. And, we've got 3 or 4 automobile companies there. But don't forget, the best part of this whole thing is I grew up in a period of time where you had to take your own race car to the racetrack and go in NASCAR, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even called NASCAR then. So I grew up, and I'm not sure that you'll remember, but a lot of people do, when it's brought up. Well, I live about a block and a half away from David Pearson.
Oh, wow.
About 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away from Cotton Owens.
Oh.
hung out with his son. And, you know, these people were all in Spartanburg because we had it was called Piedmont Interstate Fairground. Okay. So people would go over there and they'd race every Friday and every Saturday afternoon. And it was within walking distance of my house. So me and the boys go hang out. I think, you know, we just go out there and do what we could get away with. And we would go to the races, and we got to know the racers really good. And then that's what got me into racing, honestly. The longevity of the songs, the longevity and the desire to want to, you know, get that same feeling those guys got, you know, because I'd watched David Pearson win, and you'd watch Cotton Owens win. That was forever ago. Okay, this is like building a pyramid over again, right? But at the same time, it showed me that hard work would pay off. And I'm not bragging about myself. You know, I'm an ex-military guy myself from Vietnam, you know, come back a sergeant. So I did that, and I attribute everything to the fact that being led down the right direction is everything. Having a mom and dad that took care of me, and dad that worked, mother that sit with terminally ill people. She was a nurse, and having a sister that couldn't sing a lick, and watching my nephew later do what I do for a living. That's Clay Cook, who plays with Zach Brown.
Nice.
So what happens is, you know, I guess this is what this is all about. It's any sport, anything you do, as long as you dedicate yourself, not necessarily long enough, but hard enough, even in the beginning, as it gets smoother in life, you get more mature in life. You don't wake up with near as many headaches. But and then you have a family or several families. And now I got 21 different people out here. So all those are connected to families, and we all get along. And everybody said, "What's your key? What's your key?" Well, the key is when other bands were fighting to compete, I never fought to compete. Our original band for the first 8 years, we never had any arguments. Okay, we all had the same background, same understanding. Then this band, as people fell out or passed away or whatever happened, we have never had another argument. I've had to fire 3 or 4 people along the way, drivers or whatever, because they were belligerent to the hotel staff where we were staying, or, you know, just not having respect for one another. That's the key. That truly is the key. I think that's why my mom and dad pushed me. They said, "All right, you can go to work at the cotton mill." Dad took me over there one Saturday morning when he got approval, and it sounded louder than hell. It sounded really not where I wanted to be. Cotton was still floating around in the air then. They're still making cotton. And I told my dad, I said, I'm gonna try this singing thing, see if it works. So here we are 50 years later.
That is awesome. That that it's all about family, it's all about communication, and it's all about respect with you. Yeah,
it is. It'll always be that way. My kids, we had our own little way, you know, whenever they were cutting up. I have $2. One's 40 and one's 30 now, so I don't have to do that anymore because they have my grandkids. But the one thing that they learned was from me is if they started cutting up, I took care of it. I just walked them outside, sit them down, and said, "Those people don't want to hear you. They didn't come to hear you at the restaurant. And when we go to a fair, then you scream your ass off, you know." But other than that, that's all it's ever been, is just an understanding that it's so easy to take care of a problem. So, it's a lot easier. Government's having a harder time doing it, but yeah, I could do it, you know. And I'm not about to run for anything in our government.
Oh, come on, shoot,
nope.
Senator, congressman.
No, we had Trey and we had everybody else down there, so we're all covered. from South Carolina. No, we're fine. They haven't. Listen, I've been approached, and that's as far as I'm going with that because it's not even worth talking about. Simply because of my ability to have conversations with presidents, have conversations with the guy that's helping to fix my flat tire, and I race too. As a matter of fact, I hold 2 records, drag races. One's at Rockingham and the other one's down at Atlanta Speedway. So those were drag racers, but that's what I wanted to do.
Nice.
I had to buy my gas from Cotton Owens because he was the only one to sell that hot rod gas.
So what kind of vehicle did you drag race?
Oh, it was a '66 Chevy 2 Nova.
Nice.
Yeah, and at the same time, the band was building one that George did. And I don't really know what happened to that one, but it kind of disappeared. But anyway, mine, I wish I had it back now, but they tell me that it's been changed up a whole lot, so I probably don't want it.
So I understand that the band was named after a piano tuner. Why is that?
Oh, well, that's correct. And one of the funniest things is we had no idea of this till about a year and a half later, who Marshall Tucker was. Marshall Tucker just recently passed. You could see that, anywhere. He was turning 99, okay? And he moved. He was a blind piano tuner. Back in the old days, pianos were bigger than house cars almost, So they were huge. So they all had to be worked on and tuned, and some would break or a string would break. So Marshall, being blind, went to our wonderful Cedar Springs Deaf and Blind School to learn a trade and also get an education. So Marshall had been using that as a storage warehouse so that he could work on these pianos whenever he got a chance to work on them. And, he was kind of overworked and he's just really being worked a lot. I guess it was just called too much work. And he had stored stuff down there, and then he moved, went to Columbia and had a wife, and she also was blind. And his daughter still lives in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And by him just recently passing, we certainly will miss him. I would call him ever so often, but in the beginning, he thought it was really nice, and then we did some TV shows together, but we never got a chance to play together, believe it or not. And one of the reasons was it just so happens that we'd be in Columbia, South Carolina. He would have choir practice that night. He took that choir for 40 years, and then he retired. We sent him a whole bunch of platinum records and gold records just to commemorate what he was doing. He believed everything, and he took care of everything. But his wife was wonderful, and the coolest thing was he had quit doing all the magazines and stuff like that. He said it's just too much to do. And then he pulled me over in the live TV thing. He said, "Man, when they get the microphones turned off, come over here and say, I want to ask you something, or tell you something." And I went, "Okay, what's this going to be?" And I got over there after all the cameras and lights were all off, and the interview was over. And I said, what can I do, Mr. Tucker?" He said, "Just want to thank you for not ruining my name." I said, "Man, that couldn't get no cooler than that, But we just picked that thing up right off of a key that a promoter or our club owner at the time walked down there and said, "I need somebody to open up this weekend." And it was Wet Willie and also Ballman Brothers. And so we went over there, and the guy said, "Come back." And, you didn't do a lot of advertisement for clubs back then. So it was all handbills passed out by, the group of people that would go out to all the bars and things. So the next thing that happened was promoter come down there and said, "Well, I need that key, I need a name they need a name to put on the marquee in the paper, and so we said, oh, okay, So an hour later, we were getting as drunk as we could possibly do in that little room that we were practicing in, and having a great time. And he came back, and we hadn't come up with a name yet. So we're sitting there flicking the key, and on the key there was a white little bitty tag that had Marshall Tucker on it. So they said, well, hell, let's just name it Marshall Tucker for the weekend. And that's how it is.
That is awesome. For the weekend, and gosh, you've had such an illustrious career with that name. That is phenomenal.
It's incredible that, we've been back and forth when, I did the Vietnam thing. Then I come back, and we've got so many veterans that still come and see us, and the ones that made it home. There's a lot of women in there as well as men, which we went back to Iraq and Kuwait just to entertain instead of the movie star role. We didn't do that. I wanted to go back and just, set up and play and entertain the troops. Not to be humble about it, but that was because I wanted just to go in there and meet and see the real guys, and the real girls. And we did. So it was Stars for Stripes is what it was for, and Stars with Stripes, So people still do that today, but with different parts of the country and different parts of the world. But when we did it, it was an awakening, and it was before we got Hussein. And I got to tell you, one of those young guys that was driving those planes around made an old man a little afraid because they made us put on flak jackets and helmets and stuff again, and that was almost a flashback to my Vietnam days. And come to find out that on the way back, one of my guys got to this kid up front that was flying it. Said, "All right, we'll take you over We'll take over Baghdad. We're not supposed to go over there," but talked him into it somehow. And I felt us bank really to the left, and you could feel it. And then he got out of there, and one of the guys that had hopped on the plane with us, at C-130, I think it was, or 131, I'm not sure, the ones with the jets on now. But there was other guys on there, and they were going back to Kuwait so that they could go home or off their tour. So needless to say, they did not like it. They were ready to get the hell out of there, and I can't blame them. And I was whenever my tour was over. So that's, those little things like that make you got to really appreciate life.
Oh, definitely. And we appreciate the troops and all that they do for us. I mean, it's just amazing how they sacrifice for our freedoms.
I know. And, I don't remember what I was doing it for because, I was 19 years old, and you don't really know. You just know that somebody's attacking us. And my real story was for so long, and I've changed it a bit, was that, I just didn't want anybody to come to my backyard, so that's why I went. I didn't want anybody showing up in my backyard and acting a fool, And that's the honest to God truth. I told that story for probably 20 years. And then I realized that I don't have to tell that story. If anybody knows that I went over and made sergeant out of myself and come back, they know I didn't go over there just to grow flowers.
Definitely. I understand that several members of the original band went over there. Is that correct?
Toy and myself, Toy Caldwell and myself, is the only two that went over there. Now, as far as the crew goes, these are guys with, that was our bodyguards and stuff like that when the band was, extremely hot. We just went right back to, and even in the beginning, we went back to our roots a little bit, went back to the guys that was in high school with us, hired a football team and the friends that we had, and put them on the road. So they became bodyguards and, doing stuff like that, tuning guitars and, just hanging out. But there was 8 of those guys. Majority of them I get to see once a year. We all try to throw a little party down there where I live in Myrtle Beach now too. And they come down and we do whatever we do, and they do whatever they do, and everybody kind of stays together, and we hang out and talk about some of the old times and some of the people that we've recently lost.
Dang, well, that sounds like one heck of an event. Speaking of one heck of an event, Hard Rock Casino, Cincinnati, Ohio, March 31st. Our listeners are very excited about that. Before we let you go, we're on social media, we're on the web. Where can we find out more about the Marshall Tucker Band?
There's about a million places, but marshalltucker.com is a starting point.
Awesome. Well, Doug, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Hey, buddy, and I appreciate it too. Anytime we can get the word out to let people know, I want them to listen to the music first, and then they'll get the feeling. Then it'll bring back a memory, and within the songs have lyrics that touch everybody.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the amount of hits that you all have, and just those memories that, from when they were listening to it when they were a kid, or heck, your new generation of fans that, have embraced your music. It's just remarkable.
Thank you. It's really good to watch kids bring their grandpas, and the grandpas are actually bringing them. They're 10, 12 years old. I asked him at the autograph table, I said, "What, how'd you get here? I know you didn't drive." And he said, "Well, my grandpa brought me, and he's been listening to you, and he has a picture of you on the mantle that I have to look at 13 times every time for Christmas." But they all get together. And I get a chuckle out of that, and then, I get a security guy and go over there and sit with the grandpa for a while. You never know. You just never know how and why things happen, but they happen for a good reason.
Exactly. That's just great how you bring families together and have created, generations of fans and really inspired a lot of folks.
And I appreciate you.
The Dreamhouse Nation loves it when we give out our email address, and that is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Write in to win tickets. We are giving away some of the best tickets of the summer. We're giving away tickets to the Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 25th through May 28th. Tool, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Deftones. It is going to be an amazing event. Write into dreamhousenation@gmail.com to be eligible to win tickets to this huge event. So definitely don't miss out. Sonic Temple, May 25th through the 28th, Columbus, Ohio, historic Crew Stadium. Write in. Enjoy. Our guest today is Michael Wilton. He is the lead guitarist and founding member of the legendary heavy metal band Queensryche. We will be discussing their upcoming U.S. tour. Michael, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So tell us about your current album, Digital Noise Alliance.
Yeah, Digital Noise Alliance was put together right out of the pandemic. We decided to get together like we did in the old 80s, when you got together in a room and guitar players showed each other licks. There was no internet, there was no cell phones, right? You just kind of learned songs, learned how to play them and everything. So we kind of brought that approach into recording DNA, and it works really amazingly. It's something when you have all the creative elements in a room, giving input, to build the songs, and it's very efficient, it's very expedient, and I think it worked, really amazingly for us. Now we have obviously the computers to archive the ideas, because sometimes I'll do a guitar riff and know, and it's like I'm getting older, right? And I won't remember what I just did. So luckily, we have the computers to archive the ideas, because sometimes the best ones just dissipate into the ultra consciousness or something.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I was going to say, sometimes the computers are great. Sometimes they're a pain in the neck. But you know what is never a pain in the neck? Your all's great show. We are excited. April 4th, Newport Music Hall in Columbus, Ohio. Tell us why you're excited to visit the fans in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, yeah. We're ready to embark on a really amazing tour. It's a great package. We have the band Trauma opening up, and then Marty Friedman comes in and plays, and then we play. And it's a good variety of music, and we really think that this is going to be a killer show for people to check out. And plus, you know, we're playing a lot of some deep cuts from the early Queensryche days, as well as lots of new material from Digital Noise Alliance. So we're really pumped and excited to get this tour out, and I just hope people can get away and check this show out.
Awesome. So how do you prepare for a live show?
Oh, it's crunch time. It's just repetition. Going through the songs, trying to do something a little bit different, that you did on the last tour, and then just putting it together. We've learned I think 13 or 14 new songs for touring this year, and it's a lot of work sometimes to pull out, like why did I write that, when I was 23 years old, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of other bands put emphasis on being rock stars, but you put the focus on the music. Tell us about why it isn't so important to put the emphasis on the music as opposed to all the secondary things.
Yeah, I think, that was the primary focus, back when we were younger. We considered ourselves musicians, and we wanted the music to speak for itself, not wearing, crazy clothes and all that, and creating something that has nothing to do with music. So that's just something we've always done. We were kind of more the traditional hard rock, progressive metal kind of a thing. And it's like, for us, it's about, the music, not the image.
Exactly. So it's more about the substance as opposed to the sizzle.
Right.
Excellent. So
a little bit of sizzle is okay, but
mm-hmm.
Not full on.
Exactly. So how has Queensryche evolved over time?
Oh, it's 40 years now I've been doing this. So it's I think it's the whole evolution of the band. It's just it's whatever path that we choose, that we go down, and we just progress and push ourselves, and and people change. People want to do other things, or their visions of the band are different, or whatever, or they physically can't play anymore. There's all these reasons, but I think the entity of Queensryche is what is important. It's not any one person, it's the whole embodiment of the band. And that's kind of, what our fans and loyal, followers just love about the band, regardless. It's not about who's in the band. It's about, is the machine, in tune? Is the machine cranking? Is the machine badass? That's what it's about.
That is awesome. So like I said, we are excited about April 4th, Newport Music Hall in Columbus, Ohio. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about Queensryche?
Yeah, well, Queensryche Facebook, Queensryche Twitter, www.queensryche.com, queensrycheofficial.com. I think those are a good start.
Definitely. Yeah, I was going to say the great thing is, shoot, with you being such a legendary band, you just type in the name of the band, Queensryche, and it's going to pop up with so many different things that can educate, enlighten, and entertain our listeners for hours and hours. So we just want to thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure having you with us on the show.
All right. Thanks, James, and we'll hope to see you all when we get to your town.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com for only $10 down.
Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a great interview with Jason Delismon. We are excited to talk all about all the great things that he is doing in his music career and he'll be doing in the future. Jason, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So when did you first fall in love with music?
Music? About 18 plus years ago.
Nice.
If not longer. Yeah.
So about how old were you when that happened?
I was junior in high school when I first started to really take interest.
So did you have anybody that inspired you? Any story behind what caused you to pick up the drums?
My stepdad, he was a drummer as well, and he would always, at the house play along to like Van Halen and, Rush and a bunch of bands. And, I'd go down there and watch him play, and it was intriguing.
Nice. So did he end up teaching you how to play, or did you take lessons from someone else, or did you just learn by watching?
I started watching in the beginning, then he started, showing me some stuff, and then I just took the ball and ran with it, and then got instructional videos and took lessons for a little bit, and then just pretty much self-taught after that.
What are some of the bands that you've been a part of?
Heavy the Fall being one, that was produced by Charlie Benante. I drummed for that one. Then ADD was another one that we were with Pavement for a while, and then done some traveling and touring with them. And then later, a little bit after that, I branched off, and in typical Dave Grohl fashion, I, inspired by him, branched off and formed my own band, where I fronted the band and played guitar and, pretty much did a lot of the songwriting and put the band together.
So tell us about that band. Who are your current members?
The current members now, I'm basically, I still have the other band, the front line that I had prior, but the stuff I'm doing now is basically just solo. It's just myself, just putting out a bunch of the songs and ideas and concepts that I had, laying around that really isn't any particular genre or style. I just play what I feel.
So tell us about that. Tell us about your transition into being a singer and a guitarist, and how has that helped you showcase your vision and, like you said, not to be kind of pigeonholed into specific genres?
Again, I've always been a huge fan of Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters, Nirvana, and, he's a fantastic drummer, and stepped from behind the kit and went up front and just wrote some amazing songs and sang and played guitar. And I was just, again, intrigued by that, and always played guitar and, wrote stuff behind the scenes. And, I wanted to give it a shot. And then, my wife really was pushing and helping me out as well to, give me the confidence to go up front, because that's not an easy task to do, being a front man.
Definitely. I can imagine there's a lot more pressure, a lot more work, and a lot more that goes into it.
Absolutely. Especially, you're up front of the stage, all the fans are looking at you, so, don't want to let them down.
I always, thought people were exaggerating when they talked about, being in front of those hot lights. But I understand that the lights are actually do raise the temperatures.
Yes, absolutely. They do, and they also help too, when you get the little bit of nervous energies, a combination of the lights and the fog really help, take away some of the nervousness, because, you just see the lights and people, and it's kind of shadows in that, so it's not so intimidating when you're up there.
Your music, it's raw, it's honest. How has music helped you deal with your emotional struggles?
Music is basically always has been like my live journal entry. Anything that going through in life or feeling, or situations that I've been through, I try to channel through music without putting like a label on what it's about, so the listener could listen to it and draw their own conclusion, and hopefully have it help them get them through a situation that they've been through.
After listening to your first single, Gone Away, it really feels like there's some inspiration from the Fray, especially how the song builds dynamically. Is that true, or am I just reading too much into it?
No, I huge fan of the Fray. I like piano driven stuff that's also with the vocal emotion. Lifehouse, bands like that, Three Doors Down, and I really like bands where like it's not so processed vocally or musically. It's that a raw emotion where you can really feel the music in the band.
So where's the best place to listen to your music?
Any digital platforms you can find it on. You can go on, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. I mean, basically any digital outlet that you can get music. YouTube is where it'll be available, as well as future releases and tour dates.
Your fans have been helped by your new music, your new single, Hard to Breathe. A lot of people have found solace in it. How does it make you feel knowing that your music is helping them through tough times?
It makes me feel really good, because let's face it, everybody has situations and rough and hard times that they go through, but for me to be able to put that through music and have people be inspired, or it get them through that certain hard time, it just makes me feel real good that I'm able to help contribute to the community and fans and everybody around to get through situations and hard times.
So who was the loved one that inspired Hard to Breathe?
The one that inspired me to write it, or
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the song, it basically, like I said, I don't put titles to songs that I write about. It can be your own conclusion to it, but when I wrote the song, it was basically about losing a loved one, close to you, whether it be, there's people that go through, depression, or, natural cause passing, or, suicide, which is very sad. Basically that's what the song was written about, without putting a title to it,
How great has it been working with Groove Tone Studios?
Groove Tone Studios is basically it's my baby. It's what I started building several years ago, and during COVID, I decided to, bring it more to life and really hone in on it. Hard to Breathe is self-produced by myself. I did all the production, all the recording, the mixing and mastering, and then I had some guest artists, playing bass and keys, and then did some co-writing with my wife as well. But that song was done here at my studio.
Nice. So yeah, tell us about that, your studio. What's it look like?
It's got, just like most studios, you got your analog gear mixed with your digital. It's a cozy environment. Got to have the ambient lighting and soundproofing and all that good stuff. But it's just a comfortable vibe, where you feel relaxed and not so. Some of the studios you could feel pressured, and they're intimidating. Mine, I just try to create a nice, relaxing, calm environment.
Awesome. So, have any other artists recorded there?
Yes. Last artist that I worked with, solo artist, his name is Dan Gronke as well. He's another acoustic rock, fantastic songwriter. So that's the latest project I've been working on. He's just wrapped up his record, so that'll be out there as well.
Like you said, with moving up to the front and being the lead. On top of that, taking up the producer role. Oh my gosh, how many hats do you have going on right now?
It's several. I wanted to challenge myself, and seeing, how production aspect goes and engineering and just the whole process from beginning to end. And with this song in particular, and Gone Away, I really wanted to take the challenge and see if I was able to accomplish, from start to finish the process.
Your music is very inspiring and empowering. I understand there's a rumor going around that your next single is going to be called Don't Give Up. Can you confirm
Correct.
that? Okay, so
Yes.
that is true. Sweet.
Yes, just wrapping that up now, but that one's going to be a upbeat rocker. That one I felt had a little more up-tempo and some good melody, so I'm excited to release that one soon.
Definitely. So it sounds like that's going to be a really fun one to perform live.
Oh yeah, it's got really good, hard rock, pop kind of elements into it, that I think fans and people will really enjoy.
Do you have any shows planned in Ohio, Kentucky, or Indiana?
At this very moment, no, but I'm in the process of locking in on a good set list and getting out there and starting to promote some of the material that I'm putting out.
Yeah, obviously with that set list, you're going to be playing your new music, but do you plan on incorporating any of the songs from your previous bands?
Potentially, I might, for a little bit, incorporate, some of my previous band, Frontline, which I also, did a lot of the writing with, so going to probably mix that in with the set and possibly definitely the new ones, as well as maybe a few covers, just so there's familiarity for people that's listening on the outside at the shows.
So with that, you're thinking like Nirvana, Foo Fighters, stuff like that, or do you have bands in mind?
Definitely, Foo Fighters tune would be great. I've in the past covered Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, and I kind of did the Skinner Shinedown version. I kind of did a little bit of both. And then Alice in Chains, we've done cover of as well. So another great band.
Nice. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today, Jason. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about you?
You can go on Facebook, just look under, Jason Delismon, Spotify, Instagram, Reverb Nation, working on an actual domain website, but at the moment, Facebook would be the main hub where I'd have all the links to everything else.
Well, sounds great. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and you have a great weekend.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com for only $10 down.
Our guest today is Grae Drake. She is the former Miss Movie Phone and senior editor of Rotten Tomatoes. She is going to reveal her predictions for the 95th Annual Academy Awards. Grae, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure. This is my favorite weekend of the year.
So when are the 95th Annual Academy Awards, and where is the best place to watch them?
They are coming up on this Sunday, the 12th. And it's like 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and you can actually stream them everywhere. They're running on ABC on network television, but you can find them plenty of places thanks to our fabulous streaming technology.
Nice. So will Jimmy Kimmel be attacked, and if so, by who?
I hope not. Jimmy Kimmel hasn't done anything.
Oh, definitely. But I figure either his buddy Jimmy Fallon or Adam Carolla, they might do a bit.
Right. Yeah, I think that we are going to see a lot of fun stuff from him, reverent of movies, which is exactly what we were missing in some other award shows this season. And I'm just ready for like a calm, quiet ceremony, please. I don't want to have to talk about it for the next month.
I was really surprised when researching this that Oscar had nothing to do with the actors, but it had to do with an uncle of someone from the past.
I know, it's funny, right? When you start digging into Oscar history, this year is the 95th ceremony, and it has really changed over all of those years. And holding an Oscar is really amazing. They're very heavy.
Nice. So you got to pick one up and try it out?
You know, where they have the Academy Awards at the Dolby Theater on Hollywood Boulevard here in LA, they often have Oscar displays. So the public can go in and you can kind of hold an Oscar and feel the weight of it, do like some bicep curls, and they just celebrate, you know, all of the movie history that exists around the Oscars.
That is awesome. I'm going to say a category. You tell me not who you think's going to win, but who you think should win. And then I'll give my opinion, which won't mean much because I don't know much of anything. Sound like a plan?
Well, I love that pitch. And how dare you talk about our friend James like that?
So for Best Picture, who you got?
In my heart, I love Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I see it has a lot of nominations. I mean, it's got to be a great movie with so many nominations. Obviously, I picked Avatar because it was the only thing I knew what it was.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are in that same boat. I mean, because James Cameron is now competing with himself for top grossing films of all time. Between the Avatar movies and Titanic, I mean, James Cameron is an amazing filmmaker. I'm happy to see the movie nominated. I don't think that it has a lot of juice to actually get it awards in anything other than visual effects categories. But I also would be so happy to see Top Gun Maverick nominated. Now, have you seen Top Gun Maverick? You said you hadn't, right?
I have not, unfortunately. I've heard great things, but I haven't.
All right. So if you can sign up for a trial of Paramount Plus, you can stream this movie at home, and you will be amazed at everything they accomplished with this film. The sequel, by the way, to a movie that was just okay back in the day, it was a cultural phenomenon, but when you go back and watch it, it's kind of like, oh, why did we all like this so much? And they made a sequel that is unbelievable.
Nice. Now, of course, before we go to the other categories, because I mentioned Avatar, I want to talk about champions, and I want to talk about a champion who I think is going to be an Oscar winner down the road, Jack. What is your thoughts on him as Spider, and with him coming up in Scream 6?
Now, which Jack do you mean? Jack Quaid?
No, Jack Champion. He played Spider in Avatar, the one who wasn't blue.
Oh.
The young man.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope. He's in Avatar, he really did an incredible job. I just saw Scream 6, and by the way, Scream 6 is unbelievable. It's by far the best Scream movie in years and years, and it is nice to see him actually see his actual face. It took me a minute to connect the dots on that one because I'm just so used to him as a blue Navi,
Definitely. Well, we're excited because we got him on later in the week, so I wanted to hear something positive that I can tell him from one of the best critics in the world. So that way I have that. Now, of course, with Best Actor, I'm guessing Brendan Fraser, but do you have any different opinions?
I would love to see Brendan Fraser win. I mean, for his role in George of the Jungle alone back in the 90s, okay? Let's get that guy a trophy. He's such a great performer. His movies have really entertained so many people. It would really be phenomenal to reward him for this really emotional role that he played. But I think he's got real competition from Austin Butler for Elvis. Because, I mean, who doesn't love Elvis to varying degrees, right?
That is true. Yeah, I was going to say Elvis is hard to root against. The next two categories, I'm not going to lie to you, I hadn't seen anything, either the Best Actress or Supporting Actor. What's your picks?
Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. That movie is going to be a pretty safe bet in almost every category it's nominated in, by the way, because Ke Huy Quan is going to win for that movie in the Best Supporting Actor category. And I think that as far as supporting actress goes, the legendary Angela Bassett for Black Panther. And those categories are easier for me to predict than actor is.
Then shoot, we got one we agree on because, I was going to say Angela Bassett. Yeah, you can't go against her. I mean, she's an all-time great. And, of course, saw Black Panther. I mean, just an amazing movie. Obviously, it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to be in the sequel because of his passing, but just an amazing film.
Absolutely. And I'd love to see her finally win a statue for all of her incredible roles that she's played over the years. She's really an amazing performer, and so this would be more of a lifetime achievement Oscar than it would be just recognizing her great performance in Black Panther. It's one of those.
Definitely. Where can we find your recent work?
So I am all over LA's Fox 11. You can find clips of my reviews every week on YouTube, and you can follow my social account. My first name is Grae. So I make it really easy to spell.
Excellent. Well, Grae, it has been a pleasure having you as a guest on this show. We're excited for the Academy Awards, and we hope our listeners all tune in and check out your website. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Have a great weekend.
Our guest today is Dee Dee Sorvino. She is an Emmy Award-winning TV host, comedian, and wife of the late film star Powell Sorvino. She is launching Sorvino Vino wine with percentages going to all kinds of great charities for children, adults, military vets in need. Thank you, Dee Dee. We're excited about having you on the show.
Oh, I love the station. I love Cincinnati. I'm very familiar with it. I have a home in Madison, Indiana, right down the river. So, yeah, love the Queen City.
That is awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, where it's like you're almost neighbors.
You are a neighbor. And by the way, before we get into the other steps, I am all for Pete Rose being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I had to get that out there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's overdue. He definitely deserves it. Come
on. Mm-hmm. I'm going to that parade.
Definitely. So tell us about how you and Paul's book, Pinot, Pasta, and Parties inspired Sorvino Vino wine.
Well, we wanted to do a book because, my wonderful husband, he loved to eat. Food was love for him. I mean, it was like every meal was a big deal. Okay, so, and so we put the book together. Each chapter is a full menu, not like a potato chapter or a vegetable chapter. I mean, oh gosh, it's so boring. I thought, let's be creative. So we put together meals, full meals of themes. I would do the cocktails. He basically was in charge of the food because he's the food guy. A dessert, and we're off to the races. And we had a wonderful life, wonderful time doing that book. And when we were doing it, of course, Vino is in the name, Sorvino Vino, and we, wanted to get into the wine business, but it's not exactly the easiest business to do in the world. So we were working on it all the way up until Paul died. I mean, literally the day before, maybe 2 days before, because he was pretty sick the last day. So we were talking about the wine and the labels and, this and that. So it was really important to him, and he was just, he died happy knowing we did our book, we had a wonderful life, and that we had a wine business ready to launch.
I understand that you're working with a great winery from Temecula, California. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, they do a great job. Wine is big in California, and Temecula is one of those wine meccas, and they do a great job. I have to say, they have a lot of shows, they have a lot of culture, they have just a lot of events. So Lorimar Winery, if you're in Temecula, if you're in Southern California, please come visit.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say it looks amazing, and I hear they have some of the finest grapes possible.
You'd have to ask them that. I hope so. Our wine is good, so I'm assuming all the other wine is good as well.
Nice. So, and I'm going to use the wrong term here because I don't know much about wine. What flavors do you offer?
Well, we have one wine. You're talking about Lorimar. These are two separate issues. So Lorimar, you would have to ask them. I will tell you about Sorvino Vino, which is one wine. It is one bottle of wine. We would like to get a wine. We'd like to do a sparkling. But our wine is like a big cab. It's a red blend, so it's bold and smooth and wonderful. So it would go well with just about anything, but probably better with, steak and full meals. But it's just good on its own. We took a lot of time. We wanted to make sure the wine was excellent, and that was something that was really important to Paul. We would drink wine every day. It would be happy hour, and wine, it's probably, I'd say, 80% of what we would drink. And it was usually red wine. So, doing a bold red wine and having that bottle of Sorvino Vino with a picture of Paul on the front is very meaningful. And it's he didn't die that long ago, so it's still kind of painful, but this was something he wanted. This is his legacy. So it is bittersweet, but it's a wonderful mission, too, because, we have part of the money go to feeding the hungry, because, that's the basic thing in life. And again, with Paul, food is love, and we wanted to make sure that we could give back something. So we chose a charity or charities that give back with food. Now, I wouldn't mind throwing some wine in there, too. You never know. We may include wine as well, but let's get the basics down to make sure people are fed.
Definitely. And then I can imagine when you're doing your show, Drinks with Dee Dee, you're having a nice glass of Sorvino Vino wine?
That's right. We've been promoting Sorvino Vino a lot lately. Now, I will tell you that yesterday, I did the show with a radio host out of New York, a good friend of mine, an Italian out of New York. So I was in New Mexico, and I got green chili white wine. I do not recommend it. I went right back to Sorvino Vino. I wanted to at least a nod to the local wine, because I think it's good to be helpful to everybody and give a little love to other wineries, for Lorimar, of course, and Sorvino Vino. But hey, you have to give, and you have to, help out other folks too. But I bought the bottle, but I didn't drink it. I went right back to Sorvino Vino.
So where is the best place for our listeners to buy Sorvino Vino wine?
SorvinoVino.com.
Awesome.
That's the best.
That makes it nice and easy.
Yeah, and yeah, it's easy, and also, I'm always like posting things, so and lots of wine coming up. So Dee Dee Sorvino with with all the social media, Dee Dee GOP with Twitter, and so or Facebook, all of that. So there's always something fun going on, and we'd like to do something at Lorimar and Temecula soon. So you're invited. Come on out.
That would be amazing, and we'd love that. And then when you're, drinking your Sorvino Vino wine, it's a nice romantic evening. What CD would you recommend we listen to?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's go with the Italian. I know it's Italian opera music only because, Paul sang opera. He was a wonderful singer. So, and any song that Paul Sorvino would sing was wonderful. He just had a great voice.
Awesome.
And he left us in 92, by the way. There's an Italian restaurant down by Fountain Square. The name escapes me, and you probably know it. But we ate there, and Paul just loved it. So he definitely gave a full endorsement to the Italian restaurant on Fountain Square, whatever that may be.
That is awesome. It has been a pleasure having you on the show, Dee Dee. We're excited about Sorvino Vino wine, and we look forward to meeting you in person.
All right. One day. You're a neighbor. I'd love to come and see you, and then come on over to Madison if you want.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining us.
Take care. Bye.